Welcome to this video on completing the square. It's the process by which we convert a quadratic from this form into this form. Before we begin, let's look at a principle behind perfect square trinomials. Consider x plus a squared. That would be x plus a times x plus a, and when we FOIL that out, we get first term times first term, outer terms, inner terms, and last terms. The middle two terms, they are like terms, so they can be added together. So that would give us x squared plus 2 copies of ax plus a squared. So the consideration here, the aim here, is to discuss the relationship between the coefficient of x, the middle number, and the constant term at the right-hand side. So to get from here to here, you would divide this number in half and then square it, right? So if you took the middle term, the coefficient of the middle term, 2a, and you divided it in half and then squared it, you'd get this number here. So this is characteristic of all perfect square trinomials where the coefficient of the squared term is 1. That's an important thing to remember when we do the examples coming up now. So let's try completing the square on one of our sample questions. Complete the square. And the question is x squared minus 8x plus 18. Good advice for our first step in this case is to move the 18 way over to the right to create space to add new information between the second and third terms. So that would give us y equals x squared minus 8x, and then there's our 18 way over to the right. We wish to create a perfect square trinomial here. We must determine what number must go here by using this number to help us. So to find out the number that goes here to create a perfect square trinomial, we divide this by 2, and that gives us -4, and then we square that. -4 times -4 is positive 16. But we can't just leave it there because the right side is not the same as this right side, because you just added a 16 to the right side. So I'm going to subtract 16 out again so that the red ink adds to 0. That means there's no net change to the right side and it is equal to the line above it. So that's perfectly legal. Now, the first 3 terms here are a perfect square. So that means this can be factored into a binomial times itself. So 2 numbers that multiply to 16 and add to -8 are 4 and 4, -4 and -4. So that means this guy can be factored down to this. Now the -16 and the 18, well, they can be added to 2 now, and y is equal to x minus 4 squared plus 2. And that question is finished. It's in the right form. Now, let's consider a slightly tougher example where the coefficient of x squared isn't 1, and an extra step is required. So let's complete the square on this question right here now. Y equals -2 x squared minus 4x minus 3. So what we're going to do is 2 steps at once. We're going to move the 3 way over to the right to create extra space to add new information, but we're also going to factor -2 from the first 2 terms. So when you're facing a question like this, whatever the coefficient of x squared is, you should always factor it from the first 2 terms. That's going to create a 1 in front of the x squared, and then you can use the principle we discussed up here in your calculations after that. That's the idea here. So let's go then. Let's have a look at this. So y is equal to -2 times something, and there's our -3 way over to the right here. -2 times something gives you -2x squared. That would be x squared. And -2 times something gives you -4x. That would be plus 2x. So this line is exactly equal to this line. Now what we're going to do is complete the square on these 2 terms to create our perfect square trinomial. Notice that there's a 1, an invisible 1, in front of the x squared, so we can use our procedure that we learned at the start of the video. Half of 2 is 1, and when you square it you get 1. So I add 1 in, but you can't leave it there. You must subtract 1 out, and the red ink adds to 0, and this line equals the line above it, and all is good. The first three terms are a perfect square, so we're going to factor that. So I've got here y equals negative 2 times. Now what two numbers multiply to 1 and add to 2? They would be 1 and 1. So you have x plus 1 times x plus 1, that's x plus 1 squared, right? And there's that minus 1. He was not part of the factoring process. These three terms factored into this guy right here. The negative 1 is still there, and so is the minus 3 on the outside. Now the next step you'd proceed with is you'd multiply through the square brackets by the negative 2. Now you can't multiply the negative 2 right into the round brackets because this is an exponent. An order of operations prevents you from doing that, but you can rest the negative 2 up against the round brackets. So that would give you y equals negative 2 times x plus 1 squared, and then negative 2 times negative 1 gives you positive 2, and there's our negative 3. Now what we'll do is add these two guys together, and that will give us negative 2 x plus 1 squared minus 1. And that's how you do those type of questions. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. In the comment section below, please post suggestions for any topics you'd like to see covered. Thank you.